Well, I'm convinced, you know. You ready for me? Brother. Right.
Meeting will come to order. Hear ye, Putnam County Commission is now in session. The Honorable Sheriff Mike Atwood presiding. All those here tonight present having business before this commission, draw nigh, come forward, and ye shall be heard. God bless these great United States, the state of Tennessee. God bless Putnam County and this honorable commission. Mr. Chairman, I find these premises in order, and I yield to the chair.
Thank you, Mayor. Appreciate, Major. We appreciate everything you do for us. We're going to recognize District 8 tonight for our invocation and the pledge to the flag.
Let us pray, please. Our Heavenly Father, we thank you so much for the many blessings you give us, Lord. We thank you for the opportunity to stand and serve in front of the people of Putnam County, the state of Tennessee, and our great country. Lord, we just ask that you be with us and to keep our hearts open to you and your will always be done, and let's act with common sense, as we're not above this county, and we're just one individual on this board trying to do good for the citizens of this county.
Amen.
So let us stay humble, let us be proud of the work we do, and let us continue to strive for the best. Pray for all those who are in need, Lord. We ask that you be with our sick and those who are lost. In your Son, Jesus Christ's name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Play ball. Let's see what we got next.
Are we ready?
Mr. Clerk, would you please call?
Ladies and gentlemen, if you'll take your handsets, press yes, and it will stop you right there. Everybody press yes, please. All right, Mr. Chairman, we have 23 present, 1 absent. There is a quorum.
Thank you very much, Mr. Clerk. We'll move to item 5, which is to approve the agenda.
Motion to approve.
The motion and a second. Any discussion on the agenda? Favor the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Motion carries. Item number 6, approval of the minutes from the previous meeting.
Motion to approve.
Second.
The motion and a second. Any discussion on the minutes? Favor that motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Motion carries. Item number 7 is unfinished business. Report of standing committees, planning.
No unfinished business.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Fiscal review.
No unfinished business.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And nominating.
No unfinished business.
And thank you, Mr. Chair. Report of special committees. Any report from the special committees tonight? Seeing none, any other unfinished business? We'll move to item 8, new business and action. Report of the standing committees, planning.
Thank you. First on our agenda tonight is to recommend approval for the following vehicle to be sold via internet public auction for the fire department as follows. It's a 1990 Dodge Ram van, and I so move. Second.
We got a motion and a second. Any discussion on the sale? Favor the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries.
Next item up is recommended approval for the sale of a small portion of an old county right-of-way on Perrin Road, and I so move. Second.
Motion and a second on the sale of the property. Any discussion? Favor that motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Motion carries.
Next up, we consider recommendation from the road committee, which the one that came through is Maddox Cemetery Road, and I so move. Second.
I'm sorry, what was that? Was that motion to move it forward, or are you taking both of them separately?
We took them separately, so we only brought one forward.
Okay. It still has to come before the commission for determine, anything out of committee can't die there, in other words. So both issues will have to be addressed in commission. Does that make sense at all, Madam Chair? All you'll do is just ask for that one to be deferred as the committee
Okay.
recommended, please,
All
ma'am.
right. All right, so-
You have already asked Maddox, right?
Yes.
And you've made a motion. Did I get a second?
Yes.
All right. Okay, so we've got a motion and a second to approve that motion on that road. Any discussion on that? Mr. Bennett?
Yes, could we get, Mr. Jones to explain what's taking place on Maddox Road? I'm sure most people here don't know what we're trying to do.
We have, property owners down there at, Maddox Cemetery, Road. Miss Wanda Shanks, she has asked that we take 106 feet, off of the right-of-way and, stop the road at that point. You still have access to the cemetery, and, she would just like the road shortened down to her mailbox. That's her request, and I have no problems with it being done, so that's, what, she wants.
Any other discussion, questions? Hearing none, in favor of the motion, I'm sorry, Mr. Moss?
Mr. Jones, what was the length that you just said, please?
Let me look back here. Maybe 100 feet and 6 inches.
Okay. I think you said 100.
100 feet and 6 inches, I'm sorry. She wants to shorten the road 100 feet and 6 inches. It is 633 feet and 6 inches, so it will make it 533 feet total now.
Thank you, sir.
Any other questions or discussion? Hearing none, in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries.
Next up is to defer, an amendment from the road committee for Pine Valley Road, and I so move.
The motion is to, defer 30 days, on, this particular road. Everybody understand what we're voting on? Any discussion on that motion? Seeing none, in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And no, if you're opposed. Motion carries.
All right, next up is consider a second amendment resolution presented by Commissioner Jordan Owanison, and I so move.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Mr. Owanison.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would like to take just a few moments to address a couple of questions that came up when we tried to pass this previously. Now, the purpose of the resolution, we've been asked about that, and it's self-evident in what it attempts to accomplish. What this is a declaration of rights. The last sentence states that the County Commission of Putnam County, Tennessee will dedicate no physical or financial resources toward the unlawful infringement of the right to keep and bear arms. This is the heart and the key matter of the resolution. Now, with this resolution, we're letting our fellow citizens know that we intend to stand in the gap for them, and we're dedicated to upholding our oath to support and defend the Constitution of the United States of the state of Tennessee. I know we've taken that oath, but from time to time, we do need to make it known that we continue to stand for that oath that we've taken. Now, we know the Second Amendment is a key right that's enshrined in our Bill of Rights. Now, government did not create this right, as we know, but rather it's a God-given right. And again, from time to time, as the representatives of the citizens, they want us they want to know where we stand on these issues. And in light of recent developments coming out of Washington and elsewhere to again undermine this right, it's important to do what we can to protect those rights and make it known that we will not infringe on their rights when these situations arise. And to let the higher officials know, too, that we declare our commitment as well. Now, I'm fully aware that we have no officials at this time that desire to infringe on the rights of self-defense of the people, but I'm looking down the road 20, 30 years, 40 years. If you would have went to Virginia about 20 years ago and you would have told them, hey, your state was going to undermine your Second Amendment right, they would say, you're crazy. We have great governance here in Virginia. They would not do that, and we see what's going on there as well. And so there's no telling who we might have as a governor down the road, maybe our local officials as well, that may have some sort of an agenda against the Second Amendment. Now, a decade ago, again, as we said, Virginia didn't have that, and we see where they're at now. I also wanted to point out quick some notable counties who have approved this. We're not alone in looking at this resolution, and we're actually behind the eight ball because many counties around the country did this 2 years ago. In Arizona, Phoenix has approved this, Maricopa County. over almost half of the counties in Colorado, over half in Florida. And in 2013, all 67 sheriffs in Florida stated that they would not enforce laws violating the constitutional and natural rights of individuals. In Illinois, a state that you might think might be anti-Second Amendment in a lot of ways, 69 out of 102 counties approve this. And out of our neighbors, 120 counties are in Kentucky and 114 of them approve this resolution. In North Carolina, 76 out of 100. And in Virginia, as we said before, that's where a lot of these resolutions were kind of started from because of their infringement on these rights. 91 out of 95 counties in Virginia. And here in our state, 2/3 of our counties. Some notable ones are Anderson County, Blount County, Sevier County, Montgomery, which is Clarksville, a very populated area, Washington County, which is where Johnson City is, of course. But I also want to focus in on Murray County, which is a comparable county. It's a peer county for us, as well as Rutherford. We always talk about how we're growing, maybe not as much as Murfreesboro, but we look to them as a model. In Murray and Rutherford counties, they passed this 2 years ago in a unanimous vote. And also Sumner County and Wilson counties approved this. I know there's been some questions about maybe concerns about economic development, that sort of thing, but you think about Facebook locating a data center in Gallatin in Sumner County. They did not look to this resolution as a distraction. Sumner County, Wilson County, Murray County, all these places have Targets and Home Depots. They did not make this a consideration. In our Upper Cumberland region, out of 14 counties, we're one of only 2 that I'm aware of that has not approved this resolution. Most of them approved it also 2 years ago. In Smith, White County, and also in Overton County, it was a unanimous vote again 2 years ago. We are known as the hub of the Upper Cumberland. We tend to set the pace here. We tend to set the bar here in the Upper Cumberland, but on this issue, we are leading from behind, unfortunately. And so, with that being said, that's why we bring this business before the commission tonight, and hopefully we'll approve this for the people of Putnam County.
Thank you, Mr. Walden. Mr. Donadio.
Thank you so much. Fellow commissioners, people in the gallery, I support this resolution for several reasons. First, I wish to honor those brave men and women who, on April 18th, 1775, may not have known that the shot heard round the world was going to be fired the next day in Lexington. 247 years ago, our founding fathers took on the British Empire to win independence for we the people. Right now, all we need to do is watch the news from Ukraine to understand the importance of our God-given right to keep and bear arms. What makes this resolution timely are the actions of this president, the actions he's taking to curtail our God-given right of law-abiding citizens and Americans, the means to possess the means to defend the country, their lives, their families, their homes, and their property from those who would unlawfully seize them. I make no apologies for having issues taking dictates from a man who in 2013 instructed people to use a shotgun to fire through the door if an intruder was coming in. This resolution puts Mr. Biden on notice that Putnam County, Tennessee will not be at the mercy of any despot, and I would urge all the members of the County Commission to support it. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Adams.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I am a huge proponent of the Second Amendment. I have a carry permit myself, and I carry quite often. I'm also a huge proponent of free speech, which would be the First Amendment. I'm also a huge proponent of being able to worship in the way I see fit, which is also the First Amendment. I'm a huge proponent of military not being able to take over my home anytime they want to. I'm a huge proponent of the law enforcement not being able to come in and search my home anytime they want to without a search warrant. I guess I'm curious why we can't do a resolution where we support the entire Constitution and the entire Bill of Rights, because all of those rights could be taken away from us just as easily. I would love to make a motion right now that we amend this, that we support the entire Constitution and the entire Bill of Rights. Second.
Is that a motion, Ms. Adams?
Yes, it was.
Do I have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion on the amendment? First of all, let me try to explain it, if I may. And we're only going to have discussion on the amendment. The amendment now will read that the support of Putnam County County Commission is for the entire Constitution of the United States. Is that right, Ms. Adams?
Yes, sir.
So we have a motion and a second, and, again, we're only speaking on the amendment. Mr. Christopher?
Yeah, just respectfully, this is redundant. It's taking away our resources. This has no legal effect, and I don't think we should be using this platform. This is the space for an OPED. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, sir. Any other discussion on the amendment? All right, we're gonna take a roll call. Mr. Nate, if you will, please. You need a roll call? I want it.
All right.
Again, a yes vote is that the resolution we approve is supporting the entire Constitution of the United States of America.
I thought you were voting on the amendment.
That is the amendment.
All right. Everybody understand you're voting strictly on the amendment? Take your handsets and vote yes if you approve. If you do not favor the motion, vote no. Everyone please vote, and it will stop you right there. All votes are in. Anyone wish to change their vote anywhere? Mr. Chairman, you have 21 voting yes, 2 voting no, 1 absent. Motion carries.
Thank you very kindly. The next order of business then will be to vote on the motion as amended. So what we're doing now is we have added the amendment, which is to support the entire Constitution, to the motion. I know this can get confusing, so I try to explain it. So what we will be voting on, as I stated, is the motion as amended, which means now, if you vote yes, the resolution will be to support the entire Constitution. If you vote no, then you disagree with that motion. Look at me, and if you're confused and you don't understand, please ask me. Yes, sir, Mr. Rogers.
I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman. Can I speak to the motion as amended?
You may.
Or do you want me to?
No, that's where we are.
I'll be brief, but I fully support our Constitution, and I'm glad that most of y'all do, and I think all of y'all do. County commissioners have responsibilities and duties, and part of that's passing budgets and budget amendments and establishing policies that we have control over. I would encourage us going forward, whether or not this is approved, that we spend our time focusing on things that help our county and our county department heads and our employees. I'm all for the Constitution, but our job is to help our county. Our job is to help the people in the way of life that live in this county. So let's focus on our time. I know it took a lot of time to come up with this, and I appreciate the effort, but let's do something good for our county and our citizens and quality of life and our department heads and our employees that help us do our job every day. We cannot control what goes on at the federal government level, and with this motion as amended, I hope it takes care of any other supporting of Second and First Amendment rights going forward at the federal level. I just hope that takes care of this. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Any other discussion to be? We're on the motion as amended. Well, let me be clear. If this is voted down, we will return to the original motion. Everybody understand that? We will return to the original motion if this does not carry. So we're on the motion as amended. I'm looking at some confused faces. But that's Jones, I'm right. Exactly. Okay. Yes, sir.
I was about to say, did we not vote on the amendment or the amended motion just a moment ago?
We added the amendment to the motion. That's all we did. Now we're gonna vote on the motion as amended. You can vote yes or no. Yes means it stops right there. If it's voted down, we will return to the original motion, which is as Jordan has requested. Am I making sense? And
Mr. Chairman, I failed to follow that. We have amended the motion. There's only one motion on the floor.
we have not amended it. We've added
Yeah, we
it.
have. Yeah,
No.
we made, it was an amendment.
We have added the amendment. We have not approved it. You won't
Okay.
approve it until this vote.
Mr. Jones says you're right, that's all I need to hear.
Well, thank you, Mr. Jones, but yes, that's the way it works. We didn't do anything but add the amendment. We haven't approved the amendment. We're fixing to either do that or not do that by adding it to the motion. So, having said that, does everybody look at me and understand, for I recognize more discussion, what we're doing? Wait, please use your buttons. I've got someone already asking to speak. Is everybody, Mr. Donadio, let's try to clear it up.
Yes, my question is, how does this change the resolution as written? How would it now read the resolution that was submitted?
Well, rather than being individual as far as what we're supporting the entire Constitution. And before, we were being asked to support the Second Amendment.
But there was a resolution submitted. How is the wording of the resolution was not changed?
The resolution was amended, which changed it. Or that's what this does. We're voting now for what Ms. Adams asked to be added to this particular motion.
That's fine, but I'm wondering how the resolution reads, because there was a resolution that was submitted.
Exactly.
How does that now read?
Yeah.
Well,
Because
we'll leave that to the attorney, for the wording and the language. I hope what we need to understand is the accomplishment of what we're doing.
Then I would amend can I amend the motion as amended?
Depends.
To the
If you're
current-
fixing to go back to the original motion, you can vote that way in this vote, and that will be accomplished. Do you follow? No sense in amending twice and trying to get back where we started.
Well, no, I would like to add a paragraph to the original, what was submitted, the original resolution, saying that this affirmation of the Second Amendment in no way takes away from our support to the Constitution of the United States of America.
That's exactly what she's done.
So you're adding it to what we have, right, to what was submitted in writing already, is that correct?
No. And Mr. Jones, you help, I'm Mr. Jones.
Because there was a resolution submitted.
Well, you can amend any resolution, and that's what we did. By the vote, we amended it. So that turns it from what the original language was to whatever Mr. Jones finds within his power to word it. But what it's going to say is that the Putnam County Commission stands in support of the United States Constitution in all forms. That's what the motion is. Mr. Jones, you want to speak to this? Bail me out there, brother.
I think as I understand Ms. Adams' motion, what it would do is change the last paragraph of the resolution to essentially say that the county commission will dedicate no physical or financial resources towards the unlawful infringement of rights guaranteed by the Constitution of the United States, something along those lines.
Sounds great.
Okay, so it stands as it is, but that last paragraph has changed. Oh, that works.
Yep, that's gonna have to be put in there, rewritten, and given to me before I can get that officially put in the
So the whole
minutes.
thing stays, we're just changing that last
The mayor and I are gonna have to sign that, and so that's gonna have to be changed. So who's gonna do that? All right. Jeff, you take care of that?
All right,
good.
does that take care of you, AJ?
Yes, sir.
All right, Mr. Jordan, let me, before Jordan, if I may, go to your dad, because he has not spoke to it yet.
AJ, exactly, that's what I wanted to ask. Thank
Okay.
you.
Does that take care of it?
Get out of my head.
All right, Jordan.
Yeah, my apologies if I butchered you up there at all, AJ, there, but I was gonna try to clarify what I understood, what you were asking there. Does it remove the rest of our text?
No,
and
the
then
whole
add-
thing stays, it's just that last paragraph has changed.
Yeah, when you were asked that question earlier, though, it sounded like you were asking what I was thinking too. Will this remove all the text and then just put just the Constitution on there? Because the Second Amendment is the feature of
Exactly.
this resolution.
And it does not, it just changes the last paragraph.
Right.
I think it's clear that we all voted, or most of us voted, that we support the entire Constitution, including the entire Bill of Rights. How we want to word the resolution, I leave that up to you, as long as we don't have to address each individual piece of the Bill of Rights in future months or years. I'm just trying to make it simple that we are in favor of the entire Constitution, the entire Bill of Rights. Instead of us picking pieces and saying we're in favor of this, I'm in favor of it all. If next year somebody tries to infringe on our right to free speech, are we gonna have to do another resolution? I'm trying to prevent that. We're in favor of the entire Bill of Rights, the entire Constitution.
What I was trying to get at, though, was the key part of this is that we want to let the people know that we are not trying to expend county resources to infringe, Kevin Christopher mentioned a second ago that we don't want to waste county resources on this, but we also don't want to waste county resources on infringing on Second Amendment rights if it comes to that 10, 20, 30 years down the road. And so that's an important feature of this resolution. We definitely don't want to remove that part of it.
Mr. Bennett?
Well, at this point, we can only imagine what the resolution's gonna look like. So, in the minutes of the meeting, if it doesn't live up to expectations, do we not approve the minutes next month, just for that one item?
No,
How
sir.
do we revisit that?
Yeah, I'm not gonna put it in the minutes until Mr. Jones gives it to me. And
I
so
understand
until,
it, but
and
if
when,
it's
if
not
he hands,
what we all imagine it is, how do we,
I,
you see my question? We
yeah.
don't know what we're voting for.
yeah. I guess as long as Mr. Jones knows what needs to be in there and how to word it, if he'll word it, and you trust him, he'll get it to me, and then Mayor Porter and I will sign it, but I won't put it in the minutes till that, I promise you, till that's
think the mayor-
completed correctly.
I think the mayor said that he and
I heard
Mr.
him.
Jones, well, I'm not speaking just to you. I think
I
we
understand.
heard the mayor say that Mr. Jones and he will work on the wording for the amendment. Now, let me re-emphasize, you have two choices here, okay? If we vote yes, we're done. And then the wording will be in the hands of our mayor and our county attorney to put together. If we vote no, we're gonna go back to the motion, which is just exactly as Mr. Awazan has put it together. In that case, you'll have two choices, which again, will put it to bed. If you vote for it, then that resolution will be in place. If you vote no, then it will be defeated. Now, again, I'm trying to make sure that I'm looking for confusion, because I want to make sure, and
Then-
let me go
Okay.
let me go, if I may. So, Mr. Bennett, you've already spoke. Mr. Christopher?
My position stands. I'm gonna vote no. It's not because I don't love the Constitution. We all stood up here and said the Pledge of Allegiance and prayed. I support every single breath of that. But we are paying, the good people of Putnam County are paying for us to spend our time up here deliberating over this. It's senseless. It has no legal effect. We're paying security to be here. We're paying department heads to stay over after work instead of going home to their families. I don't know what we're doing here. I'm voting no.
Mr. Williams?
It seems to me that there is a bit of maybe a disconnect of understanding. There was a resolution presented, it had specific words in it. Words matter, words mean things. That motion, or the amendment was, we've all voted to amend it, and in spirit, we understand what the amendment is. We are going to support the entire Constitution, the entire Bill of Rights. And I think most of us agree with that, maybe all of us do, regardless of how they vote. However, words do matter. And I don't know what the correct parliamentary procedure is, but is it permissible to suspend any further action on this and delay the final vote for 1 month so that we can actually give the county attorney and the mayor time to write it out so that we can see it and approve the final language?
The answer to that question is yes. You can amend it and delay it for 30 days, until the amendment is determined by our mayor.
Then I would like to make that motion that we delay this next vote until the May meeting, so that would give the mayor and the county attorney time to rewrite this so that everyone can be satisfied with the language.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Got a motion and a second. Now we're going to discussion on that motion. We're deferring for 30 days until next month's county commission meeting, when at that time, our mayor and our county attorney will have put the wording together for the resolution. Does everybody understand now where we are and understand that motion? Any discussion on that motion? Mr. Martin?
He just covered, Commissioner Williams just covered what I was thinking. It would be nice, after all the discussion we've had, it would be nice if we had a piece of paper presented to us factually as to what the motion is to be. And I think that would settle it. I think a delay till next month is proper.
Thank you, Mr. Martin. Any more discussion? So that you're clear, if you vote yes, we will delay this 30 days and be through with it for the night. If you vote no and that passes, then we're going to move forward with the motion that we had previously. Again, I'm looking, is everybody clear where we are and what we're voting for? Voting for a delay of 30 days. All right, Mr. Clerk, if you will, let's call the roll.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, take your handsets. If you favor the motion to defer till next month, vote yes. If you're not, favor deferring. All votes are in. Anyone wish to change their vote anywhere? Mr. Chairman, you have 20 voting yes to defer, 3 noes, 1 absent. That motion carries to defer.
Thank you, Mr. Clark. We will, take it up in 30 days, next month, okay, the county commission, if that's 30 days, but that's the delay. All right, Madam Chair.
That concludes planning.
Thank you so much. Physical review.
Item number 1, consider budget amendments to the county general fund, and I so move.
Second.
We got a motion and a second. Is there any discussion on the general fund? Mr. Clerk?
Seeing none, take your handsets. Favor the motion, vote yes. Do not favor the motion, vote no. Everyone, please vote. All votes are in. Anyone wish to change their vote anywhere? All right, thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Mr. Chairman, you have 23 voting yes, 0 no, 1 absent. Give me half a second, please. Good deal. Next item. Thank you, sir.
Item number 2, consider budget amendments to the debt service fund, and I so move.
Second.
Motion and a second on debt service. Any discussion there? All right,
All
Mr.
right.
Wayne.
Ladies and gentlemen, take your handsets. If you favor the motion, vote yes. If you not favor the motion, vote no. Everyone, please vote. All votes are in. Anyone wish to change their vote anywhere? All right, ladies and gentlemen. Good. Sharon, you have 23 voting yes, 0 no, 1 absent when the roll is called. Motion carries. Give me just a second. Thank you, sir. Next item, please.
Item number 3, consider approval of budget amendments to the general purpose school fund, and I so move.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion on general purpose school? All right,
All
Mr.
right,
Wayne.
seeing none, take your handsets. If you favor the motion, vote yes. If you not favor the motion, vote no. Everyone, please vote. All votes are in. Anyone wish to change their vote anywhere? Twenty-three voting yes, 0 no, 1 absent. Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Next item.
Item number 4, consider approval of the resolution for county to apply for a CDBG grant for child care programs with no match required, and I so move.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion, questions concerning the grant? Mr. Bennett, I see you reaching. Are you? No, I'm sorry. Okay, sorry. Anticipating. All right, those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Motion carries.
Item number 5, consider approval for Putnam County to apply for a RAISE grant to develop a transportation master plan. This is also a 100% grant with no match, and I so move.
Second.
Got a motion and a second, any discussion? I have one, Mr. Mayor, if I may. How does this affect the transportation plan that's been worked with the city and county and everyone else as far as the priority of roads? Is it gonna alter that or change that or help it, I guess is my question.
Help it would be the best word, Mr. Chairman. This grant would allow us to do engineering studies, such as we have some bridges that are gonna need to be replaced. It would pay for the engineering studies for those bridges, so the county wouldn't have to pay for them. It'd also do engineering studies on things like widening County Farm Road, is that workable or not? Or, you know, some of those roads that we came up on a transportation plan, it actually pays for the engineering on some of those. So if we get approved for this and we go through this process, then it allows us the next year or the year after that to apply for this grant for construction of those bridges and some of those things. So it can mean a lot for the county going forward in the future.
Thank you, Mayor. Commissioner Wasem.
Mr. Mayor, this plan, is it like a 1 year, 5 year, 10 year?
Look at, probably a 10-year would be my guess. And that's what the engineers and planners will help us with if we get that grant to walk us through that process.
And they'll look at our population and see its growth and use those statistics?
Yeah, if we get approved, this grant will probably take us 1 year to 2 years to walk through and do the whole process to get the transportation plan going.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Any more discussion, any more questions? Favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Motion carries.
Item number 6, hear from Mayor Porter on the update involving the new Expo Event Center on Tennessee Avenue property.
Mr. Chairman, give me just a minute, we're gonna get the PowerPoint going.
Where's it? The little one right there.
Try it now. That's the one I hit. What's that, select?
Hey,
There we go. All right. Thank you for your patience. I have some good news. I've been approached by a hotel developer that would like to build a hotel down where the new Expo Center and Event Center and Fairgrounds and everything is gonna be built. County Attorney Jeff Jones and I have met with them 2 or 3 times, twice, and they are very interested in doing something. In our minds, it would dramatically increase our chances of bringing events to that location. People like to have a hotel they can stay in, walk right to the event center, the expo center, the fairgrounds, or wherever they're going, and not have to get in their car and drive. Can you wait till I finish? Okay. And then, so I handed you out some handouts that you can look at, and I blowed it up just a little bit so you can see it on the screen. This is the visitor center or the event center that we were looking at constructing, somewhere in the neighborhood of a 10, 15, maybe up to 20,000 square foot center. And the hotel developer would like to put a hotel right beside it where this parking lot currently is. So if this all works out, all we would do, we're looking at about 3 acres for the hotel, is to move the parking lot down where these future expansions are, and we keep the same amount of parking. The developer's talking about somewhere in the neighborhood of 100 to 110 room hotel. I won't mention names. They don't want us to mention names of what the hotels might be, but they would be well-known names that you would know if you heard it. So the goal would be is to, here's another view. This would be the area that we're looking at. This is the main entrance coming in off of Tennessee Avenue.
this would be where the event center and the hotel would be, and there'd be parking beside of it. We did a study, I say we, a company did a study back in, a few years ago, back in 2016, 2017, when we were looking at building the hotel and convention center over here downtown, that showed that about 73.6% hotel occupancy for a hotel built with a conference center like they were looking at building of about 10,000. We think that would fit for this facility, or it may even be a little higher. 75% utilization for a conference event center. That means 3 out of every 4 days, there would be something being held at that event center, which would bring a lot of folks to Putnam County. They come, spend their dollars, hotel stays, shopping, eating and so forth, and then go home. It'd be tourism dollars that we would bring in on sales tax and hotel motel tax. So what I'd like to do, if it'd be agreeable to the commission, is to put out an RFI to see if there are other hotel developers that would be interested, and we have to do that to make sure that we would work with anybody that's interested in doing that. Once we put out that RFI or RFQ, we may do an RFQ where they'd have to qualify saying that they're a hotel developer and that they would do what we need them to do in this. We also are going to check, and the county attorney's already done this with other cities and counties that have done deals similar to this, where that, do we sell them the property? Do we do a lease purchase with them on the property over a 10-year or 20-year period, or do we just do a lease with them where the county maintains ownership of the land that the hotel sits on? There are all kinds of options that we could do. So what I'd like to do is for you to approve me moving forward to do the background study that we need to do with the county attorney with these folks and work with them to see, can we come up with something that would be agreeable to them that we think would be agreeable to you. If we do that in a few months, then I'd be coming back to the commission with that agreement, and you'd have the chance then to decide if you want to do it or not.
So moved.
Did I hear a second? I heard it.
Second.
Okay, so again, so we're clear. We're giving you permission to enter into some negotiation, as well as reaching out to other developers who might be interested in placing a hotel or motel in this area. Does everybody understand that?
With the county attorney.
Yes, all we're doing is we're giving him permission to pursue, yes. Now my question, and I have one, I know when we first started and we purchased this property, the location of the hotel motel was in the upper corner. That's what the discussion was at that time. Is that a deal breaker? Is that the reason we had to move it to beside the center? So
what they'd like to do, Mr. Chairman, is have the hotel right beside the event center, so it wouldn't be attached to the hotel, but it would have a covered walkway that the people could walk to the event center.
yes.
In most places, that's what you see.
Okay, thank you. Yes, sir, Mr. Nick.
Mr. Mayor, how much time do you think that you'll need to reach out and do this?
Well, you gotta put it, advertise it. You're probably, Jeff, you think 90 days? Yeah, in the 90 to 120 day range, I'm guessing.
Okay, if you will, do me a favor, y'all can't, but I can see, so use your hands and I'll know who's first and second. So, I'm sorry, Darren, I've got Joe up first, so please.
Mr. Mayor, are you at liberty to discuss anything on the event center or the expo center, square footage, or, what are the future plans for that project?
If I may, Joe, please, in all due respect, that is not part of what we're even talking about tonight. That's for another night when we come back and they present this and we start approving the buildings.
I'm sorry, the event and expo center, so I
Well,
figured I could
what
ask
I'm
that
saying
question.
is all we're asking for the motion tonight is to give him permission to investigate.
Okay.
That's what the motion is. Everybody, again, do you understand that? I mean, it can be pretty tricky, but that's where we're at, and that's what we need to have the discussion on. We could be here all night asking about various buildings, okay? Is that okay, Mr. Joe?
Yes, sir.
Well, it may not be okay, but I'm sorry. Mr. Wilson?
You actually answered part of my question, and I'm sorry for stepping ahead, Mayor Porter. I am in favor of the hotel being down there completely. My biggest concern for the income for the county is if we don't sell it, but yet lease that land for a long-term lease. Again, the residual income from a business standpoint only makes sense to go that route, instead of carving out a portion of our property to give back to them.
I don't disagree with you.
Okay, that's my thoughts.
Mr. Donadio.
I can't cancel, he tagged exactly what I was thinking.
All right, two great minds. Is there anyone else? Mr. Whit?
Yes, I want to reiterate that. I do have mixed feelings about carving off a piece of this property that's really for the public use, and so I have a little bit of a little hesitation with that. But that said, I have a bigger hesitation with placing it right there in that prime location. I mean, if we put it down here in the future expansion, still close to the road, that's still a prime location, without eating up so much parking that is supposed to be there for the public.
But the parking will still be there. It will just be moved just a little bit to allow the hotel to sit there.
But I understand the parking will still be there, but again, I don't know, I just feel like we're kind of doing them a favor by doing this. I mean, I know they're gonna have to pay, but at the same time, I feel like the hotel should be in more of the future expansion place, but that's, you know.
Yeah,
I may be in the minority on that, but that's the way I feel.
Again, respectfully, that discussion will come when they bring back their recommendation, if that makes sense. We will decide then, do we like where it is, do we not like the terms that they've negotiated? At that point, we can make changes. All we're doing now is giving them permission to investigate and to continue discussion with whomever. Mr. Jones, please.
Take just a minute to respond to Mr. Williams. I understand what you're saying. The thing about it is in speaking with a lot of other county mayors and also city administrators where there are conference centers, the way that this is situated right here is that any hotel that was interested in doing this and building on this property will be right next to the conference center. And if you go to Rutherford County or to Murfreesboro, Sevierville, Franklin, any of these other places, that's exactly the setup that they've got, because they want to be able to walk from the hotel right into the conference facility. Especially if you're having conferences where you're having breakout rooms and things such as that, where people are going back and forth to the hotel. It makes a big difference.
Ms. Real?
Yes. I was thinking, the reason that we are wanting to sell our fairgrounds where it is now is to move because we didn't have enough parking space and enough area for our fairgrounds. But, so now you're wanting to move part of what we bought with an expansion to put a hotel and bring in a hotel to put there?
Yeah.
Only just to help the expo center, right?
Yeah, to help the expo center, because if you've got a hotel sitting right there, it's going to increase our chances of bringing events a lot, and we'll still have the same number of parking spaces. We're going to have a whole section of land that we're not even going to use right now for future expansion, so we're still looking at about 3,500 parking spaces that'll be on the property regardless of whether the hotel's there or not. We're just moving a few of them down just a little bit so the hotel can be there, because when you look at most places that have events and conference centers, they've got a hotel right there on site of where the folks stay.
Well, and I just know where the fairground was years ago, we didn't have land locked in, we didn't have everything around it, and that's the reason why now we're pushing everything out. So we wanna make sure that we're not gonna landlock this in with everybody wanting to come in and get the prime spots of what they want, and still make sure that the county, like you said, for the people, this is what we purchased with taxpayers' money for the people.
Yeah, and
Not for some hotel to come in.
we've got 160 acres, and this will only be about 3 acres, so there's a lot of land down there that I think we'll have plenty to do for a lot of years to come, but I understand your concern.
All right, thank you.
Mr. Moss?
Mr. Mayor, I'm familiar with that area and this property, and there's prime land, just the width of a road off of their site there that they can get, that joins that, and they can do whatever they want to as far as making a road over to their facilities. I like to hang on to what we got since we done been through this to negotiate and get it in the county's hands. I'd like to see them go across the road. I know there's prime land there, signs are up for sale. Might be a little on the high side, but, anyway, that was the point I wanted to make.
Thank you, Mr. Moss. And is there any other discussion? Be sure and use your buttons, please. Again, I've got to keep up with, I can see, I know y'all can't, but I can see who's up. I know, Ms. Dunn, you were asking earlier, but
My bad.
somehow you disappeared. So that's the reason I didn't go to you, Ms. Dunn.
I did it.
I apologize. I've got Ms. Adams first right now.
Just a quick comment, if I was going to a conference, especially in the wintertime or this rainy spring, I would love to have a hotel that I could walk in a covered area and never have to get out in the nasty weather and get to my conference.
Second.
Let me say again respectfully, folks, I really don't mean, but let's stay focused on the motion. We can change the design, the location, and everything else once they come back with some kind of plan. So that's not really a part of tonight. You can voice your opinion, certainly, but the real place to voice it is once they come back with a plan and we have the opportunity to change that plan to address those very concerns. All we're asking, or all they're asking, is to be able to have the opportunity to enter into negotiation and discussion. That's it. That's period. So no locked-in concrete decision tonight will keep us in a one position. I hope that makes sense. Again, I'm trying my best to make that. So, having said that, again, Mr. Bennett, what happened to?
Well, I guess my question is borderline whether it's legal or not, so I guess I can ask Mayor Moore at the meeting.
Is this legal?
Well, whether it's in the back.
Yes. It's already, Jeff's already looked at it.
And I apologize,
Okay.
Mr. Dunn. It is your time, please.
I was just wanting to ask, how many parking spaces will there still be on the right-hand side of the road coming in? Do you know approximately?
If you look at these two parking lots, that's about 1,500 spaces. So
750 roughly,
750.
so
and-
still adequate for the expo. Plus there'll be parking around the hotel itself.
Absolutely.
I go to a lot of conferences, and I try my best to get at the conference hotel so that I'm adjacent to the center. So I see all the benefits in that.
You bet. And you spoke, Mr. Bennett, so, Mr. Wilder.
So just real brief, I don't know if this comment's legal or not too, I just want to briefly mention the hotel is, for the people too as well because of the hotel motel tax coming in, and then also the sales tax, those events we drive as well too. That benefits our property taxpayers of this county in a great fashion, so the hotel coming would definitely be a welcome addition, I would think.
Okay, any other questions or discussion? Once again, the motion is to allow discussion by our mayor and our county attorney, to develop a plan for the movement of a hotel on this property. Does everybody understand? Awesome, okay. Favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Motion carries. Very good, thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Item 7, hear from Mayor Porter about health insurance options for the 22-23 fiscal year.
So, I have been working along with Sean Bennett, who is our insurance broker on our health insurance for the last several months. Our insurance claims have dramatically increased this year and over the past several years. I did you a few numbers so you could see in 2017, insurance claims were 3.2 million. This past year they were 5.4 million. So we've been negotiating with Blue Cross about our health insurance premiums. Just some data for you to look at. 51% of our covered insureds, that's the employees and the families if they're insured, had a claim over $1,000 in 2021, which is really, really high. And a lot of that, for the reason for our big increase in claims, is COVID. In 2021, $700,000 of that 5.4 million was COVID, in some way, shape, or form. Test, treatment, hospitalization. We lost one sheriff's excuse me. I think this one's 1,000. Right? We had one of our sheriff's department employees that passed away, right, Sheriff, from COVID. So we had some large claims. So I've been working with Blue Cross to come up to see what our health insurance was going to go up. When we started at this, they were gonna increase us 27% on our health insurance. With the help of Sean, working a lot with Blue Cross, Aetna, the state, we have come up with only a 7% increase. And I think they're looking at COVID, hopefully. Our cases, I think there's only like 12 cases in all of Putnam County right now, is that those claims that we've seen over the past year for COVID are not gonna be there this coming year. I'll have to say, though, the first quarter, our claims were really high. They were 1.2 million for the first quarter. But if things calm down, they're hoping that they will get better. So for our health insurance, they're looking at 7% increase and a 5% increase on dental. The county doesn't pay anything on dental, so that's all on the employees. So that's a pretty small increase of just a couple of dollars on dental, and there'd be no increase on vision. One thing that we have with our employees, over 60% of them are on the best plan that we offer, which is a $500 deductible and only $1,000 out of pocket. The best option that the state has, as you can see, is a $500 deductible and a $3,600 out of pocket. One thing we may have to look at going forward at some point is, can we maintain that best plan with only $1,000 out of pocket? If we was to see another bad year, that may be something we have to look at. But my opinion is that we don't do anything with it right now. That we accept the 7% increase from Blue Cross and move forward with keeping the same plan. I think the sheriff and Wayne, all the elected officials and department heads will tell you we're having a hard time drawing in employees, and one thing that draws employees to us is our health insurance plan and our state retirement. It's our benefits. And if we start messing with that, I don't think right now is a good time to mess with it. That if we had people waiting in line to come to work, it'd be a different story, but we don't. So what I'm asking you to do is for us to move forward with that 7% increase. Now, currently, our health insurance costs us the $4,519,205. If the county picks up all the 7% increase, it would move to $4,859,360. If you shared that with the employees, it would be $4,790,558, which is only a $70,000 difference. To me, it's worth the county paying the $70,000 difference to not mess with employees' insurance and to not make them pay more money now, especially with inflation as high as it is. So what I'm asking you to do as a commission is to approve staying with Blue Cross and accepting the 7% increase with the county picking up the total increase. And I'll answer any questions that you might have.
You back that up, please, to where you were. A little confused. Total cost with employee sharing increase is only $70,000. If
Difference.
we pick it all up,
Difference.
well, what are they gonna share the increase? That's where I'm confused.
There-
You're saying employee sharing increase.
If you share with them,
What and how much?
7%.
Okay,
So whatever plan they're on, and if it's individual or family or two-person, whatever it is, they would go up 7%. And if you do that, it's gonna cost you $70,000 less than what it does if you pick up the whole thing, the whole 7% increase.
I'm hearing you, I'm just not understanding, but that's not unusual for me not to
Okay,
understand.
so right now, let's say an individual's plan costs them $100 a month.
Okay.
And the county's paying the rest of it. If you pay all of it, their premium's gonna stay at $100 a month. If you don't pay all of it and you raise their share too, they'll be paying $107 a month. And the county would pick up the difference. Does that?
Well, any discussion, I'll hush.
Yes.
Mr. Neal.
Yes, sir. Mr. Mayor, I wanna first say congratulations on getting that down from 27% down to 7%. I know that was, probably a shocker when you first seen that, and good job to all involved with that. And, with that being said, if we're looking for a motion, I'll make a motion that we go ahead and do this.
Got a motion, do I have a second? Second. Got a motion and a second, any discussion? Ms. Dunn?
I was just curious, how many county employees do we have?
We have about, 525 to 530, it just depends, and about 450 or 60 of them are on the health insurance plan.
Ms. Adams?
Okay, I'm sorry, I'm still confused on the $70,000 difference, because we're actually looking at an increase of more like 340,000, right?
Right, so what I was saying is, and maybe this is not put in the greatest of terms, if you pay all of the increase, the employees do not pay any more. If you don't, and you only pick up the county's share of what you're paying, the 7% increase, and the employee picks up their share of the increase, $70,000 is gonna go on to the employee's total. It's what they would pay extra in a year for all the people on the health insurance. Is that?
70,000 is what the employees are paying total.
They would pay if you don't pick up the 7% increase total. So instead of us picking up, $340,000, the county would pay $270,000 and employees would pay $70,000.
Gotcha.
Roughly. Those are rounded numbers.
All right, Mr. Williams? Bobby? Sorry.
When's the last time the employees had an increase? Because I think I remember last time I was on the commission, we gave them like the raise and paid their health insurance increase in the same year.
They have not had an increase since I've been in office since 2014, but we did change the plan, back a few years ago to where they do pay more in co-pays. Their co-pay went from $50 on a doctor's visit on a specialist to $100. So they did get an increase, it just wasn't in the form of a premium, it was in the form and the change of the plan.
And one other question, I know the $70,000 difference, what was the COVID bonus or whatever that the commission gave?
That was a one-time $3,000.
And how much was it total? Like? 1.6 million. I mean, I'm not trying to be callous or anything, but I mean, that seems like that was a pretty good bump that would pay this difference for them, you know, without, I mean, because, most of us in the private sector, our health insurance goes up every year, so, you know, and we have to pay that.
Yeah. The other thing is, employees hadn't had a cost of living raise since 2018.
18 or not, yeah, 18. It's been 4 years.
So I think what the commission has done over the last 2 or 3 years, instead of giving a cost of living raise, it's been the insurance when it's went up. But we have done really well with our insurance to maintain it at the level that we do and not have any more increases than what we've had. But I'm not sure in the future that's gonna hold. We're just gonna play it year by year and see where it goes.
Get you, Mr. Bobby. Mr. Christopher?
Yes, so the insurance plan is phenomenal compared to the private sector. I mean, as
Yes,
a small business owner, my plan for my employees is very, very high. So you pulled out the $700,000 for 2021 related to COVID, so I imagine there are some other analytics that we're able to capture. Prior to 2021, we also saw steep increases, so have we been able to glean any information as to what are some of the triggering factors for this rise, and, you know, where is it going and what can we control? You know, we're talking about RFIs and RFQs today. Are there any comparable communities across Tennessee that are soliciting technologies for identifying ways to improve plan members' health or cut down on some of these expenses? Have any information on any of that?
Yes, sir. Medical cost inflation is probably the number one that they looked at. Our employees are aging, and I don't mean that in a bad way. It's just a fact that we have employees are staying working longer. Those are the two primary factors that we looked at. We always try to compare with the state Blue Cross plan as to what they're offering and to what we're doing. And we have always been cheaper than the Blue Cross plan has been. This is the first year that it's been really, really close. If you compare the two plans, as to ours may be a little more expensive, but their benefits are nowhere near as good. But we always have that option to go to the state plan if we need to, but so far we haven't had to do that. But those are the two primary reasons they're seeing as far as the cost in the past. And more employees. We continue, when I came into office, we had 300 and something employees on the health insurance plan. Today, that's a bigger benefit to employees, that a lot more of the employees are taking our plan, and being on an insurance plan instead of maybe taking their wives' or their husband's plan that's at somewhere else that may not be as good as ours.
Okay, so, and a part of that is just an overall function of growth.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
I think it's interesting to note that using your statistics, however, though, with 4.9 last year and 700 allotted to COVID, that had we reduced and not had the COVID,
We would've went down.
growth would have gone down, our
Yes.
expense would have gone down as opposed to going up. 700,000 puts us at 5.4, and your number said 5.2 is where we are this, or where we spent last year. Is that what I-
5.4. We were at 5.4 last year.
Well, anyway, I just thought it was an interesting statistic.
Yeah, 5.4. We would have, we went up 500,000, and we would actually wouldn't have went down 200,000 had we not had COVID.
Absolutely. Okay, any other discussion? Everybody understand the motion? We've got a motion, I believe I had a motion to approve, the 7% and to absorb the entire increase by the county. Does everybody understand that, or is there any more questions or discussions?
One more question. How long did you say it had been since they've had a cost of living increase?
I think it was 2018, but off the top of my head there, and that's my memory, okay?
Because if the math is right, we're talking $12 to $15 a month per employee.
Depends on the plan.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not, and we're looking at the budget coming up, at doing a cost of living and being included in it. Be something y'all look at in the future.
Commissioner Joe,
Mr. Mayor, the projected cost, it is there is budget dollars there. Or
Yes,
do
sir.
we need to,
It'll be included in the budget, that $50,000 increase will be included in the budget coming up that y'all will address starting here pretty quick.
and you don't see it affected any other categories in budget?
No, sir. It's all in one line item, the medical insurance is.
Bobby Williams.
Yeah, just one more question. I know you said they haven't had a cost of living increase since 2018, but correct me if I'm wrong, they've been getting their step raises every year?
Yeah, and that's figured in. When you hire them, they know that they're gonna get that step raise every year. That's a guaranteed raise they get, yeah.
Okay.
Well, they start out lower than probably other places, but they know they're gonna get a raise every year with that step raise. So we don't consider that cost of living. That's just part of working here, one of the benefits.
Any other discussion, questions? Showing none. If you favor the motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Wait just a minute, we're gonna have to have a roll call.
I think you are for money, guys.
I'm sorry,
Yeah.
Mr. Clerk, please.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, if you favor the motion, take your handsets and vote yes. If you do not favor the motion, vote no. Everyone, please vote. Whoops, I guess we better sign it back. Let me push it. Made a noise. So if you favor the motion to approve, vote yes. If you don't favor the motion, vote no. Everyone, please vote. It'll come back up. There it goes. All votes are in. Anyone wish to change their vote anywhere? Anywhere. All right.
Point of order, Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
I'm not sure, do county employees who are served as commissioners have to abstain from this vote?
The answer to that question would be yes, and I apologize. Great point. We, I guess, need to clear and revote, Mr. Wayne, if you don't mind. His question, or his point was that county employees must abstain, from this particular vote. Who would that include?
Hang on.
Ms. Tays,
is that
Kim
full-
Bradford, and...
No, I'm school, I don't, I'm
Okay.
not part of this.
So it'd only be Teresa?
And their spouses, anybody has a spouse.
Yeah, or spouses.
Direct or
You
indirect.
recognize if you have a significant other, that would also exclude you. Okay, I'm sorry. Mr. Mayor? Mr. Mayor. Mr. Wayne?
Mr. Clerk, yeah. All right, so Ms. Tays, when we go back, hang on, guys. So you just need to abstain. Wait, I haven't pushed the button yet. Give me just a second. All right, do we determine Ms. Tays is only one?
I think so.
No indirect. All right, ladies and gentlemen, now if you'll take your handsets, please. and Ms. Tays just vote to abstain in favor of the motion. All votes are in. Anyone wish to change their vote? Excellent. All right. We have 18 voting yes, 4 no, 1 abstain, 1 absent. Motion carries. Thank you. Thank you for the folks in my office. I have some single parents, single ladies. They appreciate this very, very much. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you to all of you who voted yes.
We did have one item that was added to the fiscal review agenda. Consider a Law Enforcement Mental Health and Wellness Act program grant, which is a 100% grant with no match, and I so move.
Second.
Got a motion second on the grant. Any discussion? Favor the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. You done, Mr. Chair?
No further business.
Thank you, sir. Nominating.
All right, the nominating committee would like to consider the reappointment of Dr. Sullivan Smith as medical examiner for a 2-year term to expire in April of 2024, and I so move.
Second. Got a motion second. Any discussion? Dr. Smith. Favor the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. And that motion carries.
All right, second item is to consider the approval of the request of the Assessor of Properties, Steve Pierce, to appoint the following to the County Board of Equalization for a 2-year term to expire in April of 2024. Ms. Arlene Bush in the south, Mr. Gary Bush in the north, Ronnie Lefevre in the west, and Brian Eads in the east, and I so move.
Second.
Are the Bushes married and just living in separate districts? Okay, just, I've got a motion and a second on the approval, of the recommendations of, Assessor Steve Pierce. Any, discussion on the motion, folks? Favor that motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Motion carries. Report of special committees. Any report, gentlemen or ladies? Resolutions?
No resolutions, Mr. Chairman.
Election of notaries.
Got a bunch of them. Frederick R. Baker, Carrie A. Childers, Brenda G. Copeland, Buffy J. Davison, Thaddeus J. Drake, Randy Early, Lindsay Cameron Gross, Ashley Musgrove Hall, Terry L. Johnson, Benjamin Jared Johnson, Ralph Stephen Jones, Mandy Jordan, Zach Kiffmeyer, Cynthia S. Lyons, Tanya McBroom, Marcia McDaniel, Tammy Melton, Keith D. Morrison Jr., Charity Norrid, Cindy Pierce, Amy T. Ray, Susan L. Stevenson, and last, Amber Taylor.
Motion approved.
Second.
We got a motion second on the notaries. Any discussion? Mr. Wayne.
All right. Take your handsets. You'll just take and vote yes, please. All we're doing is just doing an approval. Thank you so much. All 23 voting for and 1 absent. Motion carries. Thank you very much.
Under item E, other new business, I'm going to recognize, go ahead, Mr. Porter. Okay.
We were notified by the Tennessee Emergency Management Agency a couple weeks ago. There we go. That's okay. Sorry. By TEMA, that FEMA has changed the way that they're reimbursing natural disasters. And they used to reimburse us like where we had the tornado and all the cleanup and response. FEMA would reimburse us 75%, the state would reimburse us 12.5%, the county was responsible for 12.5%. FEMA's decided they're gonna start reimbursing at 90%, and so they, not only did they change it for future, but they have went back all the way to 2014 and are going to recalculate on the ice storm we had in eastern end of the county, tornado we had in 2020, any natural disasters we've had. We have estimated that that will be somewhere in the neighborhood of about $300,000 total out of all of those that we'll be getting. That may take us a few months to get it. The state's going to change their 12.5% to 5%. So we get 90 and 95, and the county'd only be responsible for 5%. So that's some really good news. Unless you tell me different, that money will go into fund balance, and we'll have it in the county general fund. But it's about estimated a little bit better than $300,000 we'll be getting sometime in the next few months due to that
That is
change.
good news. Thank
It
you,
is.
Mayor, very much. I also want to recognize the sheriff who has some comments he wanted to make.
We don't talk about this very much, but about every 6 months, we probably need to have a reminder. When we're up here meeting, have any kind of meetings, obviously, you see several of us around. Sometimes you see some deputies, sometimes you don't, but they're close by. The sheriff's, the office over there and dispatch know what we're doing. But in the case of an emergency, don't forget, we talked about code red before, so we've got the respective doors back here. If something happens or goes on around here close by, or in this building, or anything's going that could affect us, please follow what we ask you to do when we start talking about code red. Please do that, and our thing initially is going to the rooms and locking the door, okay? And then we'll go from there. If some other suggestions or something else we have to do immediately, we will let you know. But just a reminder, nothing's going on, so not tonight, but I told the chairman, I said, well, we can do it at the end of the meeting. I hope nothing happens before the meeting after we talk about it. But no, it's all good, but we need to have a reminder every now and then, and I know y'all know this, but, you know, we have a lot of visitors up here, but we're constantly monitoring social media and things like that, not just for here, but a lot of other things going out in the community. So just keep in mind, we're trying to stay safe, and we come up here and start directing traffic. Please follow, and then we'll go from there, okay? Thank you.
Thanks, Sheriff. Also want to recognize Jonathan Williams.
Thank you. This is just a quick personal note. I think most of you know my dad passed away shortly after the last meeting, and I just wanted to take a moment and publicly thank the mayor and the chairman and everyone else. Got a nice flower arrangement sent to the funeral home, and phone calls and texts and so forth, so I just wanted to express my appreciation for that. He was 82, he lived a full life, he knew where he was going, he was ready to go, so it's sad, but it wasn't tragic, so that's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Jonathan, very much. Glad things went well. Just for information wise, if you'd like to know, our mayor paid and sent those flowers, so if you want to make any contribution to that, you need to see Mayor Porter as it relates to that. Anyone else? Anything else, announcements or statements? I see Mr. Moss.
I don't know if this is a statement, but it is a concern. The road situation down there on Tennessee Avenue, I don't know which department to address this toward, mayor, road supervisor, or whomever. I hope it gets improved, because it's very dangerous down in that area, and that's where my family lives. I gotta take care of them.
Of course, the city, are you talking about Bennett Road, Tennessee Avenue?
Tennessee Avenue is what it is now. It was Bennett Road at one time.
Yeah, so the city put up signs stopping traffic on that and made a detour on it because it got so bad because of FedEx and the concrete company. So FedEx and the concrete company, as soon as they get their heavy equipment finished with that project sometime in the next couple of months, they're gonna widen and repave Tennessee Avenue all the way down to Bob Gentry Road at the city limits. So that whole thing will be just like it is from the interstate to that section. It will be that way all the way down to Bob Gentry Road.
Meanwhile, you have stopped their mail service.
I didn't.
Somebody did.
The city of Cookeville did.
Somebody did, and also you're costing them money to have to detour totally away from the way they go. So I'd like to get this addressed as soon as possible.
We need to
Plus,
talk.
you've done had a wreck turned over in the gully down there. So I'm thinking the county's liable here somewhere, so we need to take care of that.
I don't think so. I think that's I disagree with you, Mr.
I don't
Moss.
know, so that's the reason why I don't know who to address it to, but somebody is.
City of Cookeville Street, it's not a county road. And I've talked with them, and they plan on addressing it as soon as they can, but they felt like the road was so unsafe that they needed to put the closed sign up and detour around it, so that's what they did.
Okay, I'm just carrying on the concerns of little brother, I'll put it that way.
I understand. Anybody has any concerns, I could suggest they call James Mills at the City of Cookeville.
All right, anyone else, anything else, folks? Hey, thanks, let me say thanks to each one of you for your night. I know it's been a long one. We appreciate so much, you guys' participation and your patience with, the activities. Thanks again for being here. Immediately after this, the budget committee needs to meet downstairs on the second floor, for, election of officers. Anything else? We stand adjourned.